Welcome to JGP channel. Today we gonna tell you about the evolution of video game console that maybe you never know before. A video game console is an electronic, digital or computer device that outputs a video signal or visual image to display a video game that one or more people can play. The term, video game console, is primarily used to distinguish a console machine primarily designed for consumers to use for playing video games, in contrast to arcade machines or home computers. First generation. The first video games appeared in the 1960s. They were played on massive computers connected to vector displays, not analog televisions. Ralph H. Baer conceived the idea of a home video game in 1951. In the late 1960s, while working for Sanders Associates, Baer created a series of video game console designs. One of these designs, which gained the nickname of the 1966 Brown Box, featured changeable game modes and was demonstrated to several TV manufacturers, ultimately leading to an agreement between Sanders Associates and Magnavox. 21. In 1972, Magnavox released the Magnavox Odyssey, the first home video game console which could be connected to a TV set. Ralph Baer's initial design had called for a huge row of switches that would allow players to turn on and off certain components of the console. The Odyssey lacked a CPU to create slightly different games like tennis, volleyball, hockey, and chase. Magnavox replaced the Switch design with separate cartridges for each game. Although Baer had sketched up ideas for cartridges that could include new components for new games, the carts released by Magnavox all served the same function as the Switches and allowed players to choose from the Odyssey's built-in games.
Magnavox presents Odyssey, the electronic game of the future. Odyssey easily attaches to any brand TV, black and white or color, to create a closed-circuit electronic playground. Odyssey gives you all the exciting action of hockey and 11 other challenging play and learning games for the entire family. Odyssey, a new dimension for your television, now at your Magnavox dealer. He's listed in the yellow pages.
Second generation. The Atari 2600 became the most popular game console of the second generation. Fairchild released the Fairchild Video Entertainment System, VES, in 1976. While there had been previous game consoles that used cartridges, either the cartridges had no information and served the same function as flipping switches, the Odyssey, or the console itself was empty, Coleco Telstar, and the cartridge contained all of the game components. The VES, however, contained a programmable microprocessor, so its cartridges only needed a single ROM chip to store microprocessor instructions. RCA and Atari soon released their own cartridge-based consoles, the RCA Studio 2 and the Atari 2600, originally branded as the Atari Video Computer System, respectively.
Attention shoppers, the new Atari cartridge game is in.
Excuse me.
Uh-oh, George again.
Atari's ASC battle.
It comes with 27 games, but that's just for starters. You can get 9 cartridges, 187 games.
Blackjack. Oh!
I'd like an Atari.
Sorry, only our demonstrators left.
Mine!
No, George. Mine.
The new video computer system by Atari. More games, more fun.
Third generation. In 1983, Nintendo released the Family Computer, or Famicom, in Japan. The Famicom supported high-resolution sprites, larger color palettes, and tiled backgrounds. This allowed Famicom games to be longer and have more detailed graphics. Nintendo began attempts to bring their Famicom to the US after the video game market had crashed. In the US, video games were seen as a fad that had already passed. To distinguish its product from older game consoles, Nintendo released their Famicom as the Nintendo Entertainment System, NES, which used a front-loading cartridge port similar to a VCR, included a plastic robot, ROB, and was initially advertised as a toy. The NES was the highest-selling console in the history of North America and revitalized the video game market. Mario of Super Mario Bros. Became a global icon starting with his NES games. Nintendo took a somewhat unusual stance with third-party developers for its console. Nintendo contractually restricted third-party developers to 3 NES titles per year and forbade them from developing for other video game consoles. The practice ensured Nintendo's market dominance and prevented the flood of trash titles that had helped kill the Atari, but was ruled illegal late in the console's life cycle.
Will you be the one to witness the birth of the incredible Nintendo Entertainment System?
The one to play with Rob, the extraordinary video robot, batteries not included. He helps you tackle even the toughest challenge. Will you be the first to raise the incredibly accurate Zapper and play games like Duck Hunt or action-packed Hogan's Alley and high-flying Kung Fu, each sold separately? Will you be the one to experience the Nintendo Entertainment System? Comes with Rob, Zapper, Control Deck, 2 controllers, Gyromite, and Duck Hunt.
Sega challenges you with the ultimate video games. Games that'll blow you away, like Alex Kidd in Miracle World. And coming soon, Monopoly. Knockout games like Rocky. Gangster Town. Shift into more excitement with the arcade hit Outrun. Only on the Sega system. Sega, the challenge will always be there.
4th generation. NEC brought the first 4th generation console to market with their PC Engine, or TurboGrafx 16, when Hudson Soft approached them with an advanced graphics chip. Hudson had previously approached Nintendo, only to be rebuffed by a company still raking in the profits of the NES. The TurboGrafx used the unusual HCard format to store games. The small size of these proprietary cards allowed NEC to re-release the console as a handheld game console. The PC Engine enjoyed brisk sales in Japan, but its North American counterpart, the TurboGrafx, lagged behind the competition. The console never saw an official release in Europe, but clones and North American imports were available in some markets starting in 1990. NEC advertised their console as 16-bit to highlight its advances over the NES. This started the trend of all subsequent 4th generation's consoles being advertised as 16-bit. Many people still refer to this generation as the 16-bit generation and often refer to the 3rd generation as 8-bit.
Introducing TurboGrafx 16, the next generation video game system. It's 4 times faster, so the games are more exciting. There are almost 10 times as many colors, so the arcade quality graphics are even more intense. And you can expand your system with a CD player for CD games with sound effects that are turbocharged. TurboGrafx 16 from NEC, the higher energy video game system.
On Earth, a scientist creates the ultimate machine.
At last!
A machine that will give him the power to journey into the mega world. With thousands of colors, 16-bit graphic technology, and 10-channel mega stereo sound. The most advanced video game system in the universe.
Yes!
Mega Drive from Sega.
When you decide to step up to this kind of power, this kind of challenge, this kind of flying, crashing, feeling, when you decide to get serious, there's only one place to come. The games of Super Nintendo. No one else creates this kind of experience, because no one else creates these kinds of games. Now you're playing with power, superpower.
5th generation. During this time, home computers gained greater prominence as a way of playing video games. The gaming console industry nonetheless continued to thrive alongside home computers. Due to the advantages of much lower prices, easier portability, circuitry specifically dedicated towards gaming, the ability to be played on a television set, which PCs of the time could not do in most cases, and intensive first-party software support from manufacturers who were essentially banking their entire future on their consoles. The first 5th generation consoles were the Amiga CD32, 3DO and the Atari Jaguar. Although all 3 consoles were more powerful than the 4th generation systems, none of them would become serious threats to Sega or Nintendo. The 3DO initially generated a great deal of hype in part because of a licensing scheme where 3DO licensed the manufacturing of its console out to third parties, similar to VCR or DVD players. However, unlike its competitors who could sell their consoles at a loss, all 3DO manufacturers had to sell for profit. The Jaguar had 3 processors and no C libraries to help developers cope with it. Atari was ineffective at courting third parties and many of their first-party games were poorly received. Many of the Jaguar's games used mainly the slowest but most familiar of the console's processors, resulting in titles that could easily have been released on the SNES or Genesis.
If you're not playing on a 3DO system, what are you playing with? Presenting 3DO, the most advanced home gaming system in the universe. It's time to put away your toys.
Get a free John Madden Football and Crash and Burn when you buy a 3DO system.
Who gives you raging arcade gameplay? Who gives you the most authentic sports games? Who gives you a game that lets you fly? And who gives you access to the internet on your TV? Play games, surf the net, only on Sega Saturn.
Reload!
Games are ready. Are you? Guess not. This is the third dimension. Who is in control? Who has 4 times the access? Is the freedom. Breaks the barriers. You know who stands out around. You know who everybody's after. The games of Nintendo 64.
Sixth generation. The sixth generation witnessed a shift towards using DVDs for video game media. This brought games that were both longer and more visually appealing, adding furthermore features with online console gaming and implementing both flash and hard drive storage for game data. Sega's Dreamcast, the first console with a built-in modem, was released in Japan on November 27, 1998. Sony's PlayStation 2 was released in Japan on March 4, 2000, in North America on October 26, 2000, in Europe on November 24, 2000, and in Australia on November 30, 2000. It was the follow-up to its highly successful PlayStation and was also the first home game console to be able to play DVDs. Nintendo's GameCube was released in Japan on September 15, 2001, in North America on November 18, 2001, in Europe on May 3, 2002, and in Australia on May 17, 2002. It was Nintendo's fourth home video game console and the first console by the company to use optical media instead of cartridges. Microsoft's Xbox was the first dedicated video games console released by the company in North America on November 15, 2001, in Japan on February 22, 2002, and in Europe and Australia on March 14, 2002. Microsoft realized the power of video game consoles and feared with growing capabilities they may take over more than the living room. It was the first console to employ a hard drive right out of the box to save games, the first to include an Ethernet port for broadband internet, and the beginning of Microsoft's online Xbox Live service. With more than 155 million units sold, the Sony PlayStation 2 is the best-selling video game console in history.
This is the day you have trained for, the day you have studied for. Utilize your superior skills, your superior intelligence.
Sit down, rodent.
Sarah, baby!
Oh, you were one. Don't make me hurt you.
Learn to defeat your ruthless and steep of hack and sack.
Ryan, you're gonna get Groot.
Shut up, quadruped.
world of pleasure play. Cherish life and never waste.
Everyone loves a sunshiny day. We're gonna keep it that way. Cause clean is better than dirty, and dirty's meaner than clean.
Let's all lend a helping hand. Mario can't do it alone. He'll spray his water to fly around and clean the sludge that's on the ground.
Cause clean is better than dirty, and dirty's meaner than clean.
Super Mario Sunshine, only for Nintendo GameCube. Rated E for everyone.
A great fury must come for the goodness of all. You will not comprehend it now, but the very existence of the age it spawns will justify all that went before.
Seventh generation. Video game consoles had become an important part of the global IT infrastructure. It is estimated that video game consoles represented 25% of the world's general-purpose computational power in the year 2007. Microsoft kicked off the seventh generation with the release of the Xbox 360 on November 22, 2005, in the United States, December 2, 2005, in Europe, December 10, 2005, in Japan and March 23, 2006 in Australia. It featured market-leading processing power until the Sony PlayStation 3 was released 1 year later. Sony's PlayStation 3 was released in Japan on November 11, 2006, in North America on November 17, 2006, and in Europe and Australia on March 23, 2007. All PlayStation 3s come with a hard drive and are able to play Blu-ray disc games and Blu-ray disc movies out of the box. The PlayStation 3 was the first video game console to support HDMI output out of the box, using full 1080p resolution.
Civilizations is in your hands. Lair. Rated T for teen. Only on PlayStation 3.
Nintendo's Wii was released in North America on November 19, 2006, in Japan on December 2, 2006, in Australia on December 7, 2006, and in Europe on December 8, 2006. It is bundled with Wii Sports in all regions except for Japan. Unlike the other systems of the 7th generation, the Wii does not support an internal hard drive, but instead uses 512 megabytes of internal flash memory and includes support for removable SD card storage.
We would like to play.
With more than 101 million units sold, the Nintendo Wii is the best-selling home video game console in the 7th generation. 8th generation. Aside from the usual hardware enhancements, consoles of the 8th generation focus on further integration with other media and increased connectivity. The Wii U introduced the controller-tablet hybrid whose features include the possibility of augmented reality in gaming. The PlayStation 4 is Sony's 8th generation console, featuring a share button to stream video game content between devices, released on November 15, 2013. Microsoft released their next-generation console, the Xbox One, on November 22, 2013. On March 3, 2017, following poor sales of the Wii U, Nintendo released the Nintendo Switch, a hybrid console consisting of a tablet with controller attachments that can be used as a mobile device or connected to a television via a dock.
Xbox resume.
If it was any more real, it would be real. The all-in-one Xbox One.
Super Mario Maker. You made this? Yep. And Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. There's only one thing you'll be dreaming about this holiday. Play Nintendo. Play Wii U. Games rated E to E10+.
Sometimes,
With more than 70 million units sold, the Sony PlayStation 4 is the best-selling video game console in the 8th generation. That's the evolution of the game console until 2018. We wait for what will happen for the 9th generation in the future. Thanks for watching this video. Do not forget to share, like and subscribe.